New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm your host, Rev. Webb. I'm the author of the book, The Soul of Prosperity, and multiple ebooks supporting the Soul of Prosperity that include Prosperity from A to Z, 30 P's to Prosperity, Create Your Self-Manifesting Vision Board, and Forgive Your Way to Prosperity. I also serve as the senior minister of the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel, and I'm a coach, a channel, a healer, a counselor, and some other things. But what we do tonight is we look at prosperity, and we look at prosperity in the broadest of ways, where prosperity is not just money and stuff, but prosperity begins with that inner sense of peace and light and joy. And prosperity begins as we realize that we are all conduits and reflections and expansions and expressions of the love of God. So as we feel the love of God, for example, in meditation and prayer, as we allow that love to move to us and through us by removing the barriers of self-doubt and shame, and as we recognize ourselves as having all of the qualities of God, we allow the creativity of God to move through us as love. And then prosperity is simply all the forms God's love would take in our world as we learn to channel God's love and to mold God's love and to experience God's love and to express God's love. So we look not only at financial prosperity, but we also look at relationship prosperity, where our relationships are outer reflections of the deep inner harmony and deep inner love that we feel. So our relationships then reflect love and harmony. We look at vocational prosperity, where we are aligned with our soul's purpose and our vocation, no matter what it is or what it looks like, it reflects our soul's purpose. Where in the words of Florence Scovel Shinn, I have a wonderful job with wonderful pay where I offer a wonderful service in a wonderful way. We look at logistical and physical prosperity. Logistical prosperity being a life that is devoid of struggle and difficulty and challenges, but a life that is instead more easy, more effortless, and more joyful, where we are fulfilled in every way. Because as reflections of, expressions of, conduits of, and demonstrations of God's love and light, we then can experience the joy God wills for us. For God is love and love is joy. So we look at prosperity in all these different ways. And each week we take a different perspective on prosperity. Tonight, we're going to talk about aligning yourself for prosperity, aligning for abundance. Because in order to experience an abundance of all things good, we have to be aligned with the force of good and the source for good. And so I've got a guest tonight who is going to help us with that. Felicia Messina de Haiti, Minister Felicia Messina de Haiti, is a ministerial candidate at the Intervisions Institute for Spiritual Development. She's a master coach. She's a master alignment coach. She's a counselor. She's a healer. And at the risk of beating my own drum, I know how to spot talent. And she is a talented spiritual healer. I spotted her on another podcast and broke my finger speed dialing her to get her on my show. So it's such an honor and such a pleasure to have you, Minister Felicia. How are you this evening?
I'm great, Reverend Jim. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. I'm excited to talk to you about aligning for abundance.
I'm so glad you're here. One of the things that struck me was when you said that your home is a 3D vision board, and your task is to make it reflect your highest vibration, your highest vision for yourself, and if it doesn't, you may be out of alignment. Can you explain that a little bit more to our guests? Because that alignment for abundance as it relates to our homes and feng shui is very important. Can you explain that to our guests?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
So, everything is energy.
Hmm.
And we are vibrating at a certain vibration, and our environment, everything in our environment vibrates at a certain vibration as well. So when we have an intention, when we
Hmm.
set an intention for what we want to experience in life, then we expect that to be outpictured in our environment. And
Hmm.
so if I have a certain intention, but then I look around my home and it's cluttered or disordered, and my intention was for, clarity and abundance, I'm kind of like working against myself
Hmm.
by not having my space represent or reflect what my intention is.
Okay, so that's what you mean by your home reflecting your intention. Now, how can we, decluttering is one thing, and we do understand that helping the energy flow by decluttering is extremely important. Are there some other things that we can do with the home that it might reflect our desires, our aspirations, or our highest vision of ourselves?
Oh, yes, definitely. Feng Shui encompasses pretty much every aspect of your home, including making sure that the lighting is clear and working in every room. And so some of it is simple things like making sure the doors lock and unlock, that there's nothing blocking your walkway. What colors you choose in each space makes a difference.
Can
You
you briefly explain why each of these is so important? Because what I ultimately want us to get to are simple things that we can all do to help in that way. So if you start explaining why each of those things you mention, such as all the little things in your house working,
Mhm.
why that's important, can you?
Yes.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that, especially if we are trying to align with abundance, that everything is in good working order. So everything in our space, has its own energy. And if things are not working, it blocks the energy, it causes energy blockages. So even if you have a lamp in the space, that it might be a beautiful lamp, but if it's not working, it's blocking the energy because energy is not able to flow through that space in the room.
Interesting. And so the lamp itself, blocks the energy because it is not a conduit of energy as everything should be. But does it also trigger something within us that is indicative of blocked energy, like that, that feeling, which is not the
Definitely.
feeling of yes?
Yes.
Can you relate how those two work together?
So whenever we have things in our space that are broken or not working, it sends signals to our subconscious that things aren't working in our life. Like everything has a symbolism related to it. So if you have maybe you've started a lot of projects that you haven't finished, and it's like, oh, let's just shove them in the closet or out of the way. The energy of those things being unfinished is still there, and so you're sending yourself signals like, oh, I start things I don't finish, or I'm not
Mm,
able to finish things. And that blocks energy and movement and keeps you from, why am I going to do new things? Because I never finished what I start.
okay. And things not working sends the energy of my life doesn't work, so why should I even bother trying to manifest something new when stuff I've manifested doesn't work?
Yeah.
Does that be
Yes.
one way to put it?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Okay, that helps me understand. So all those little to-dos, all those little honeydews, and I'm my own honey.
Mhm.
So every time I see that mark on the wall and I look down and see the Mr. Clean Magic eraser and I don't correspond what I see with the action of taking the eraser and erasing the mark,
Mhm.
I'm not allowing things to flow. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. You mentioned some other things, such as uh, your sidewalk or the walk to your home being cracked or crowded. Can you mention a couple of other examples for us?
Mhm. So when we think of hallways in our home, they represent like flow.
Oh,
And so you want to make sure you're keeping the flow open. And so, if you're walking down the hallway and you're bumping into things because the furniture is too big or in the wrong place,
mhm,
then you're causing like hiccups or blocks in the energy. So you want to
okay.
make sure that you're able to move smoothly through your home,
Mhm.
just as the energy would move through your home.
So some basic things that we can all do that do not require going out and spending $9,000 on new furniture or knocking down a wall in your home. Some basic things we can do include making sure things work, making sure that movement can flow, because if movement can flow, energy can flow. Is that
Yes,
accurate?
that is accurate.
Okay, because I remember one time at the Tacoma Park Chapel, Reverend Pileski and I, it was an office building before we turned it into a sanctuary. And so he and I went and we knocked down all the walls to the offices to make it one open space. But there was one load bearing wall right at the entrance, and the corner of the load bearing, it was a square beam, but it was
Mhm.
square, and the corner was pointing right at the entrance. And somebody said, that's a corner of death. Because you go in, and the first thing you see is this corner, this sharp corner.
Yeah,
And so,
poison
what we had
arrow.
to do is we had to take molding, wooden molding, and round it out because
Mhm.
we couldn't take it down because it was a load bearing beam. So, can you tell us a little bit more about things like that that may not require remodeling, but
Mhm.
just rethinking and little cosmetic things?
Mhm, definitely. Yeah,
Mhm.
those are referred to as poison arrows because
Poison
they
arrows.
because they
Okay.
focus the energy, and you want the energy in the space to kind of move at an even pace and not come like shooting at you. Um, so some other things to consider are things like keeping your stovetop clean. So the
Mm.
stove is a representation of abundance,
Hmm.
and um, if you have burners on your stove, it's
Hmm.
best to rotate which ones you use because you're
Mm.
keeping the energy flowing through
Mm.
different burners. Because fire is a representation of abundance too.
Wow. So keeping your stove, and does that also mean decluttering your stovetop of a teapot that you never use because you always microwave in it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Just asking for a friend.
I'm sure.
Okay. So what I hear you saying is that there are a number of little things that you can do. And like that old song, little things mean a lot.
Mhm.
A lot of these little things can free up a significant amount of creative energy and creative flow that we can use to allow our abundance. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate.
Okay. Well, I want to delve into this more deeply, and some of our folks at home who are chiming in may have some questions about this. So, folks at home, if you have some questions about this, please be sure to put them in the chat, and we're going to take a little break right now to give you a chance to put your questions in the chat. And when we come back, we're going to work with your questions on alignment for abundance here on the New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
What if the person you think you are is just a fraction of who you truly are? What if years of conditioning and surviving in a challenging world have left you clinging to strategies and beliefs that mask your truest nature? I'm Catherine Duca, psychotherapist and self-esteem coach, and you're listening to Who Do You Think You Are? A show that looks beneath our psychological masks and uncovers our profoundly messy, beautiful, brilliant, tender-hearted essence. Join me as we go in search of the hidden power of our true selves. I'm so glad you're here.
And we're back here on the Miracle of Prosperity. And we've got with us today Minister Felicia Messina de Haiti, who is a master coach, master alignment practitioner, master feng shui practitioner, a spiritual teacher, a spiritual light, and an all around wonderful person. And she's talking to us about how we can make minor adjustments around our homes to let the energy flow. For our homes are vision boards that can help to manifest our visions. So, what other easy things can we do, or what other obvious things can we look for in our homes that we can do to assure good flow?
Mm. One thing we can do is clean the windows. And so that's a simple practical thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But windows in our home represent our view of the world.
Mm.
You want to have a clear vision and clear view of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that your windows are clean will support that.
Mm. Okay. So little things. Now, what I hear you saying is that there are many things in our homes that are representations of larger issues, such as the stove and fire representing creation. What other areas of our home have important symbolism for us
Mm.
that we need to be aware of?
So our basement or bottom level, if we don't have a basement, is our foundation.
Okay.
And you want to make sure you have a strong foundation, and that is not the place to, well, no place is the place to keep clutter, but that's definitely not the place to keep clutter because you want to have a strong foundation that supports you.
Hmm.
Another area is the attic or the upper. You want to think about your upper limits or your higher consciousness. Like what do you have above you that's supporting you as well?
Hmm. So, in terms of a basement or an attic, obviously declutter them, but how can we use them to enhance our energy flow and thus our prosperity flow?
Mhm. You can make sure that you use the different areas in your home. I mean, I know some people have basements that they never go into. And if you have a room that you don't go into and out of regularly, the energy can get stagnant. So you can do things like, just run a fan or open the windows, um, play music in a space. So if you're not going to be home during the day, you can leave a radio or something
Mm.
on to play music, and that will help to keep the energy moving and shift the energy while you're not there.
Yes, I had a room in one of my homes that cried due to neglect.
Mm.
I never, I didn't go into that room probably for a good year. I forgot it existed.
Mhm.
And what happened was ice, ice, it got an ice flow in the gutter and that seeped through the wall and the wall got wet. I didn't even know it because I never went into the room. I ignored the room. It was in the back.
Mhm.
And somebody said, that room is crying
Yeah.
because it feels neglected.
Mhm.
Do you have any comments on that?
Well, I like to think of our homes as being alive.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, you are neglecting the space.
Mm-hmm.
And if we think about the things in our home as having their own, life purpose, when we're
Mm-hmm.
not using things or when we're ignoring things, we're not allowing them to live the life that they were created to live. Um, and so the more that we show gratitude for our home,
Mm-hmm.
that I like to talk to my home. Uh,
Yes.
you can also name your home. Your
Mm-hmm.
homes have an energy, and if you name your home, you can address it as such and create a relationship where you are supporting the home to
Mm-hmm.
be in good shape and good working order, and the home is
Mm-hmm.
supporting you in whatever your desires are.
Okay. And you can also go sleep in that room, which is what I did after I had it repainted.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
took a couple of nights and I slept in the room and I used the room finally
Yes.
instead of ignoring it because it was all the way down at the end of the hall and I didn't even want to see it.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. What other things can we do around our homes to support this?
One thing we can look at is our use of mirrors in the home.
Hmm.
And it's mirrors are symbols of abundance.
Hmm.
And so it's a good idea to not only keep the mirrors clean, but to take a look and see what exactly is the mirror reflecting. Because whatever
Mm,
it's reflecting is what you are drawing in abundance for.
mm. So make sure, if possible, that the mirror is reflecting A, something of beauty,
Mhm.
B, something useful, C, something that symbolizes an aspiration, dream, or desire. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate.
Okay. Okay. You notice one of my verbal tics. Is that accurate? Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. Anything else that we need to be aware of around the home? And then we want to work with the law of correspondence and look at what we need to align within us.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts?
Um, well, definitely keeping the front entrance have a welcoming energy in the front entrance, because your
Mhm.
front entrance is also called the mouth of chi. And so that is where new fresh energy enters your home. And
Mm,
so if you use a garage or other entrance to your home, it's a good idea to just open the front door and welcome energy in every day. Um,
mm,
and making sure that, it's you can see the house numbers or the numbers outside the door, that it's easily identifiable, that if you could have something like a wreath or something welcoming people into the home,
mm.
or the energy into the home, that's a great idea too.
Wonderful. Brilliant idea. And that helps me understand something. I have a neighbor who keeps her wreath up all year, and I was puzzled by that. Now I know why. Thank
Mhm.
you. So, what we're talking about all the things in the home that can either facilitate or block the energy flow, the flow of chi, the flow of light, the flow of creative energy, and how we can align for abundance by being mindful of the home. So, because the home and its energy flow corresponds to the level of abundance of all things good that we can allow. Now, that brings me to an inner visions concept called the law of correspondence, where everything outside of us corresponds to something within us. So, how can we get our inner energy to correspond to what we desire in the home as well? What do we have to do to align internally?
Mm. Well, first we can, so if we're not quite sure what we need to shift, the best way to do that is to take a look around the home and see,
Mhm.
what is the condition of the home? Is there a lot of clutter? Is there a lot of unfinished projects? And that can kind of help us to target, what we need to focus on within.
In other words, if I've got unfinished projects out there, I've got unfinished projects in here.
Within, yes.
And if those unfinished projects and these unfinished projects stay unfinished, how can the universe work through me to complete my desires? Is that accurate?
That is accurate, yes.
Okay.
Because why would the universe give you more when you haven't finished what you already have?
Yes. Okay. Okay. So our home, if our home, and tell us a little bit more about how else, our home corresponds to what's going on within. We
Hmm.
know clutter, clutter, unfinished, unfinished. Are there other things that we can look at to understand what we can do internally?
If we have a lot of things that aren't working,
Hmm.
or just things that we're not using, and it could be, like you said, that room that you had that you didn't use. If we have, furniture or rooms or spaces that we're not using, it's and we're not the energy isn't moving,
Hmm.
we're kind of giving signals like, yeah, maybe I have too much, or I'm not going to use what I have, so don't give me any more.
Mm.
Signals like that we're sending out to the universe.
And I like to put things in the model of capital.
Mhm.
So everything we have is capital. It can be used to create more good. And if we have unused stuff, that's unused capital that we can either release and bring in something else that corresponds more to our desires or our good. Would that be an accurate way to think about things too?
Yes, definitely.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So unused stuff is unused capital. Wouldn't you rather either let that go and
Mhm.
bring in something that is the capital for the production of more joy, capital for the production of more fulfillment, capital for the production of more of your good?
Mm. Yes.
It's almost like having a factory and having machines sitting around that don't do anything, taking up
Mhm.
factory space, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any other thoughts on what else we can our houses tell us so that we can work on ourselves? What else we can do with what our house tells us?
Hmm. We can look at the colors that we've chosen in our home.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so looking at the color wheel, The warm colors, like the reds, oranges, yellows, colors like that. When there's too much, when it's not in balance, when there's too much of colors like that, the energy could be very like too high and too frenetic. And so if you're always feeling like you're busy, you have to move, you have more to do, you have, like this like never ending cycle, maybe look around at the colors. Maybe there's too much like fire energy or warm color energy. Or if you are feeling like you can't ever get, started with something, you're lacking
Yes.
motivation or need a push,
Yes.
and you look around and all the colors are kind of the cooler colors, the blues, the violets. Maybe there's too much of that color, and which is slowing down your energy and calming you a little too much.
What about the office, the engine of productivity? What things do you have to say about that?
So in your office,
Mm-hmm.
one of the most important things is to position yourself in call it a power position,
Mm-hmm.
or it's also called having a mountain at your back. So having something supportive at your back
Mm-hmm.
where where you feel supported. So if you don't have a solid wall behind you, it's good to have a chair that has a high back
Mm-hmm.
to provide that support. You want to be in a position that is not too close to the door, because the door is where all the energy is coming in. So you don't want the energy like kind of smacking you in the face.
Yeah.
So you want to be a little bit away from the door, but in a
Mm-hmm.
position where you can see the door from the
Mm-hmm.
desk.
Okay. Now, Diamond Thorn had a question. What about the bathrooms?
The bathrooms, think about spa and self-care. So you want the bathrooms to have clear, crisp colors, maybe a green for balance and health. Um, and just making like when you walk in the room, how do you feel? Do you feel like you're in a spa? Do you feel like you're taking care of yourself? Um, or do you feel like, maybe you need to throw out those old toiletries and get some new things? And it doesn't mean getting expensive things. It just means getting things that make you feel prosperous, and that when you look at them, they bring up your energy or bring you joy.
Yes. So go in every room, in other words, ask how it makes you feel and why,
Mm.
and then look at what's going on within you that is a reflection that is reflected in the outer room and vice versa. And that's how we can uh, allow ourselves to be conduits for our good as we allow our spaces to be conduits for our good. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, this is wonderful. I've got a few more questions for you. So we're going to take another little break now, and then we're going to come back with some other questions and some surprises, okay? So
Okay.
stay with us, folks, here on the New Thought Media Network.
I've been thinking, this volunteer dinner deserves a standout video, something with real impact. But hiring a big production team for just one video? The cost would be huge.
I get it. But have you thought about New Thought Media Network? They do amazing work beyond just broadcast programming on YouTube. They actually specialize in high-quality, one-off productions for events like ours. And I heard they're super affordable.
Really? I didn't realize they did that. So they focus on quality without the premium price tag.
Exactly. Plus, Dr. Robert runs the whole thing, and he's all about making great media accessible. We could get the professional look we need without going overboard on costs.
His sounds perfect. Let's get in touch with Dr. Robert and see if they can work their magic for us.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience? Or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
And we're back here on the Miracle of Prosperity on the New Thought Media Network. And we have been working with clearing our external energies for the flow of chi or the life force or the creative energy that can create what we desire to manifest for our good. And that corresponds to clearing our internal energy, because our outer world is often a reflection of our inner world. And clearing both is necessary in order to allow the flow of abundance of our good that we desire and that we deserve. So, Minister Felicia Messina de Haiti has been with us, talking with us about that. Do you have any other suggestions for our inner work for flow?
Hmm. Definitely getting clear on your intentions. So if we
Mm,
are scattered within, then our home will be scattered, or we will never be able to kind of focus the energy in the space if we internally are not clear on what we desire.
because ambiguous desires will naturally yield ambiguous results, right?
Yes,
Okay. So get clear within so we can get clear without as a reflection of our clarity within. How would you suggest that we go about doing that?
Mm. I would suggest meditation
Hmm.
and prayer
Okay.
and writing out your intentions so that, and when you write out the intention, focus on the emotion that you want to bring in for the experience. So, what is
Mhm.
it that you want to experience in your life and in your home?
In other words, focus on the feeling, not the thing.
Yes,
Okay. Okay. Okay, good. Because there could be a number of things that bring you the same feeling. And focusing on the feeling unties God's hands and allows whatever thing is most appropriate for you to be brought into your world, because they all elicit the same feeling, and the feeling is the true desire. Is that accurate?
that is correct. Yes.
Okay. So what else can we do? We can meditate, we can pray, we can get clear. Now, quite often, that's a repetitive process, is it not? Because we just don't ask ourselves and get the answer because we have to sort through some things, right?
Mhm. Yes.
So would you say to create a spiritual practice of these things in order to get and maintain the clarity?
Oh, definitely. Yes.
Okay. What
Daily.
kind of spiritual practice would you recommend, or what would you recommend as a part of a spiritual practice for clarity?
Uh, Definitely prayer meditation. I
Okay.
also use oracle cards
Hmm.
as part of a process for clarity, where I ask a question and choose a card, and then reflect on the meaning of the card and how that falls into the answers that I was asking about.
Okay, so you ask a question, you then use the oracle card, you look at the oracle card and the description of the energy of the oracle card,
Mhm.
and that then gives you some hints as to what is in that for you, what is the answer for you. Are
Yes.
there some other ways of divining what we are feeling by outer objects, for example, pendulums and stuff like that?
Oh, definitely. Yes. Using a pendulum, and testing, first testing what's the yes and what's the no. But you can use a pendulum. You can even with your own body as a
Mhm.
pendulum, you can use that
Mm,
method. Um, those are the only ones that come to mind at the moment.
yeah. And we can ask ourselves, how does this make us feel?
Yeah.
What does this make us feel? Sometimes we can go deeper into our own consciousness by continually asking why, too.
Mhm.
Hey, do you think that could be effective? Why
Yes.
this? I
Mhm.
want this. Well, why? Because of this. Why? Because of this. Because of why? Because of this. And it ultimately probably goes down to some primal need for love.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then we can open ourselves to that love from source.
Mhm.
Because ultimately, it's not about the stuff outside of us. It's not about the stuff we manifest. Those are only tools that Source uses to invite us to align with Source. What do you think of that?
Yes, that sounds perfect.
Okay. Well, you sound perfect, and we're so glad to have you today, Minister Felicia Messina de Haiti. Any other words of wisdom you want to offer to our viewers tonight?
Hmm. That I know there are a lot of feng shui books out there from different traditions, but if you focus on what feels good for you in your home is good feng shui, then you're on the right track.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And there are lots of little things that you can do. Well, don't hire a designer to redesign your house and spend thousands and thousands of bucks on new furniture. Before you do that, kind of get in touch with yourself and work on feng shui not only in your home, but spiritual feng shui within through prayer, meditation, getting clear, connecting with a source, because what's going on within corresponds to what's going on outside of us. What's going on outside of us is a barometer and a reflection of what's going on within. And we want to align them both to allow the miracle of prosperity. So I want to thank you, Minister Felicia de Haiti. You are so, I looked at your websites and stuff, and you're so creative. And it looks like you're working on a lot of stuff. What would you like to share with our audience about what you're working on these days?
One big thing I'm working on is later in 2025, I'm going
Mhm.
to launch a professional certification class for people who are interested in being clutter clearing coaches. Um, and later in the year, I will also be relaunching the feng shui and space clearing certification classes as well.
Mm. So people can come to you to get certified to help others declutter. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, yes.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. Sounds like you're working on some very exciting things. I'm so excited for you. Working on some wonderful stuff.
Thank you. And I know that you're working on some wonderful things too. So, would you like to let us know what's coming up for you?
Oh, if you insist. Yes. Well, everything I've got going on is on my website, which is www.revjimwebb.com. And the reason that I direct people there is because I do a lot of stuff in secret. I'm on the low, I'm on the down low with a lot of stuff. For example, I have a class that is free on November 30th, but it's open only to people who are on my mailing list because only those people know about it. So go to my website, www.revjimwebb.com, if you want to find out more about that. And if you're interested in doing this free class, let me know. And I also have some other classes that are coming up. You see, we have reached a point on the planet where mastery is not just for a few who mythically walked on water. Mastery is for all of us because the earth has opened to the light it has yearned to experience. You and I have opened to the light we have yearned to experience. The veil between us and the magical, mystical world of love is thinner than ever before and often non existent. And so we are masters and we can live our visions. All of those stories we told ourselves about what about this, what about that, what about this, and all the barriers our fears and doubts have placed within us can be literally lifted like a laser. So, in the next 8 weeks, I'm doing a class called Living Your Vision. Spirit Speaks on Living Your Vision, where the spirit guides that work through me will work through me to work on you. They will offer you special, individualized spiritual treatments and special energetic adjustments to lift from you any remaining latent blockages to living your most masterful life that you can envision And so you will get the treatments, the healing, the transformational energy, the prayers, the visions for living your mastery. But this is not aspirational, this is practical. Because then on Thursday nights, what we'll be doing, on Thursday nights, we will be doing a class called Living Your Vision. Practical tools, principles, and practices where you learn to take all of this stuff and you learn to put it into practice. So you might shrug your shoulders and say, oh, another vision board class. No. This is a graduate level class for those of you who have read all the books, done vision boards before, etc. Because Spirit is continually downloading new information. For example, one of the things they downloaded recently was the fact that the most important real estate in your portfolio of manifestation is unused. You want to know what the most important real estate in your portfolio of manifestation tools is? It's the back of the vision board. Blank. And that vision board is the most powerful tool you have. So Spirit will be working on with us on a number of different new techniques that layer on top of stuff you may have already learned to make everything more effective because of the new energy and the new information, so that you can live the life you desire, not just desire it and not just aspire to it. But these classes start at the beginning of the year. The information is on my website, and if you want to get into these classes, it's useful to do it now versus later. I'm already, actually, I got 2 more registrations this afternoon after church. So I'm 80% sold out now. There are only 20%, I've only got 20% availability. So if this is something that is of interest to you, it's best to register sooner rather than later. And it's certainly best to register before December 31st, because before December 31st, there is a $75 discount for pre-registration with prepayment. Find all of this out on my website or give me a text at 202-253-6009. Another thing I'm doing a pop-up class. I haven't announced it yet. I haven't announced the date. Because if you are on my mailing list, you get all those announcements first. So you can register before everybody else, because my pop-up classes, literally, they get filled to the capacity within days. So if you've not gone there yet, go to my website where it says subscribe. You'll be the first to know, and you'll have the first opportunity to register for my secret classes, my free classes, and my pop-up classes before they get filled. Okay? So that's what I'm working on, and I'm looking forward to this new year. I want to wish you a happy, joyous, and prosperous new year, and thank you, Minister Felicia Messina de Haiti. I want to wish our viewers a happy, joyous, prosperous new year, and to thank you for this journey here on the Miracle of Prosperity. Good night.